Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door.
Hi, I'm Troy from Studio 33 Guitar. Thanks for watching. Today we're looking at a classic song, Knockin' on Heaven's Door. Originally written and performed by Bob Dylan, but it's been covered by a lot of artists like Guns N' Roses, and Eric Clapton, and many others. It's a great classic song. It's perfect for singing around the campfire. It's always a crowd favorite. It only uses 4 chords, so it's a simple song to learn. There are a couple of chords that may be a little bit tricky if you are a beginner, but as usual, we're going to break this song down, and I'm going to start really basically, and then we're going to work our way up to a little bit more complicated chords, a little bit more of a complicated strum. You may also notice that I'm wearing a different shirt than my usual Studio 33 guitar shirt. This one was sent to us from the people at Guitar Player Nation. This is the West Coast Vintage Guitar Shop series. They've got a lot of different designs and colors and options available. They're really cool shirts. You should check them out. I'll put a link in the description box, guitarplayernation.com. As usual, if you like this video, then please let us know by hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment down below. And of course, you can always request your next song lesson in the comments as well. But let's get right to it, zoom in on the neck, have a look at how to play this song. As I mentioned, you only need 4 chords for this song. Those 4 are going to be G major, D major, C major, and A minor. If you're a beginner and you find some of those chords tricky, don't worry too much. I am going to show you a couple of substitutions that you can use. Also, you can check out our video on our other channel. It's called The 4 Most Important Chords to Know, and 3 of these chords are on that list. We'll put a link in the description for that video. The first chord that we need is this G major chord. Now there's a few different ways that you can play G major, so let's talk about that for a minute. G major sometimes can be played like this with your ring finger on that high note. It can sometimes be played with that same note being held down with the pinky. The way that I play a G major chord, you may not be familiar with, but we're going to play that note again with the pinky, but we're going to add the ring finger directly above it. Same fret, just the next string up. The other 2 fingers are going to be the same as they normally would for a G chord. So now these 2 notes together will actually help you when you go to the D chord, because your ring finger gets to stay in that same spot. So if you're used to playing a G chord with only that note being held down with either the ring finger or the pinky, consider trying it like this with these 2 fingers down. You'll probably find that making that transition from G to D a little bit easier, because then this finger gets to stay in that same spot. It ends up being a bit of a pivot point between G and D. And that's an important aspect of playing guitar. If you can find notes that are the same between one chord and the next chord, that's going to make your transitions easier and smoother. The next chord, like I mentioned, is a C major chord, which is played like this. If you're not familiar with that one, that's your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, and then your middle finger, the next string down, but on the 2nd fret. And then you're going to leave the next string open, and then your index finger on the 1st fret of the B string, and then you're leaving the high E string open. And that gives you the C major chord. That's a trickier chord to play, especially for a beginner. You've got 3 fingers involved here in a bit of an awkward position. You do have to make sure that you're playing more on your fingertips so that you're not interfering with the other strings. So if that chord is a little bit tricky for you to play, you could substitute a Cmaj chord instead of this C major chord. Now again, if you watch that video, the 4 most important chords, you will see the Cmaj chord is one of those chords. And it's played almost identical to that G chord that we just looked at with these 2 fingers up here, except now these 2, your index and middle finger, just come down 1 string each. And that gives you a Cmaj chord. So it's still a C major, it's just got a little bit of a different flavor to it, and they call it a Cadd9. The fingering for that is easier than this traditional C major chord. So a lot of times I will use that Cadd9 chord instead of a C major because it is a little bit simpler, especially if you're already playing G, and that change is really nice and easy. You go from a G to a C, you're just having to move those 2 fingers. But again, if we're playing G, D, and then Cadd9, that ring finger gets to stay in that same spot the entire time. The pinky finger is down for 2 of the chords, the G and the C, just has to come off for that D chord. So it makes it a really nice, simple transition. If you are a beginner, that would be a way that you could easily play this song just using G, D, and Cadd9. The chorus of this song uses just those 3 chords, G, D, and C. Again, you can either use Cadd9 or C major, either way. So let's look at the timing of where those chord changes are. Again, if you've watched some of my other videos, you know that I usually try and break down the timing of the chord changes by counting quarter notes, which means we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I usually start with a really simple strum pattern where we're only strumming on those quarter notes. So we're only going just down strums, and we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. And that keeps it really simple, just so you can get the chord changes under your hand first, and then you can worry about your strum a little bit more later. So for these 3 chords, our G chord is going to get 2 beats. So that's going to sound like this. 1, 2. And then we're going to switch to that D chord for the 3, 4. 3, 4. And then we're going to go to that C chord, again, either Cadd9 or C major. So here's C major. This one we're going to play all 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, that would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it repeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Here's the Cadd9. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how you play the chorus of the song. It's just those 3 chords over and over again. And again, you just play 2 beats on G, 2 beats on D, and then 4 beats on C. The verse part of this song is played exactly the same way, except now we're going to introduce the A minor chord. That A minor chord is going to be played instead of the C major chord, but we're going to alternate. One time with A minor, the next time with C major, back to A minor, then C major. So that would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now to C. 2, 3, 4. This time we go back to A minor. The next time we do C. Here's a Cadd9. Let's look at how we play that A minor chord. The fingering for that looks like this. We have the open A string. So we're going to skip this low E string. We're playing the A string. Then we have our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. Our ring finger is directly below that. Then our index finger, next string down on the 1st fret. And then our highest string we leave open. So A minor would be like this. Now again, if you are a beginner and that A minor is just a little bit too tricky for you right now, you could actually play that C major or the Cmaj chord instead of the A minor chord. So it won't sound exactly right, but it'll be pretty close because A minor and C major actually share the same notes. They're just in a little bit of a different order. So if you're a beginner and you just want to be able to play a song, you don't want to worry too much about playing exactly the right chords, this one will actually work really well for you. So continue with that G, D, C, and don't worry about that A minor. You can just use a C chord instead, and it'll sound pretty close. So far, the strumming that we've looked at has been really basic, just all downstroke. So let's talk about how we would make that strum a little bit more interesting and introduce some upstrokes. The first thing that we can do is add an upstroke right before each chord change. And that's going to be on an eighth note. Now when we're counting eighth notes, we count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we can put an upstroke on the and after 2 and after 4. So that would sound like this. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. Now it's important when you're doing upstrokes to just catch the top 1 or 2 strings. You don't want to be strumming all the way through the strings for your upstroke. You just want to be getting those top high notes, just the high 1 or 2, maybe 3 strings. You don't want to be getting the whole thing. Again, you can check out our other channel. I've got a great video there about how to add upstrokes to your playing. Now we can also take it one step further and add in a 16th note. So 16th notes are counted 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Now we're not going to play all of those, but what we're going to do is after 2 and after 4, we're going to put in an and a. So that's going to sound like this. The and is going to be a down, and the is going to be an up. So that's going to sound like this. 1, 2 and a, 3, 4 and a, 1, 2 and a, 3, 4 and a, 1, 2 and a, 3, 4 and a, 1, 2 and a, 3, 4 and a. One of the great things about this song is its simplicity. It really relies more on the chord changes and the vocals than the actual rhythm or the strumming. So you don't want to get too carried away with your strum. The strum that we just looked at is probably about the most movement that you want to get. Otherwise, it can be a bit distracting. If you're a beginner, just take this slowly. Practice just with those single strums. Gradually get confident in that and then add in the upstrokes and then try adding in the extra down and up. And then eventually you can work into adding those other chords, the A minor and the C major. Just keep working at it, eventually it'll come. Well, that's the entire song. I hope that you found this video useful. Again, if you did, then please let us know by clicking the like button, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment down below. And don't forget to check us out on social media. All the social media sites, we're there. Just look for Studio 33 Guitar. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door.